Well, hello, my brilliant 503 students. Epidemic, huh? That's the word they're using now. So we're going to just roll with it in 503. So the rest of 503 was supposed to be all about hardware, software, telecommunications, distance learning, very nitty gritty IT, not instructional technology type of stuff. And we can't do that if we're not physically at our schools. So if you've started on that needs assessment and all of the stuff that's listed in 503, just kind of put it to the side. We are going to do all of that, but I am going to flip that to the fall for capstone. As I told you guys before, we're trying to move toward being an ISTE certified program, ISTE certification provider in our master's program. And what that does is we are going to ask you all to meet all of the ISTE standards for educators by the end of the program. So all that I've done is kind of flip the indicators that we were going to be mastering this semester and the ones that we were going to be mastering, some of the ones that we were going to be mastering in capstone. And we're just going to kind of flip-flop them. So if you haven't looked at these in a while, go ahead here to ISTE standards for educators. We are going to be working with the digital citizenship one now for the rest of 503. If you've never been to Be Internet Awesome, this is definitely something that I want you guys to look at. Simply putting these lessons, these already produced lessons into your classroom is not really enough to say that you mastered the standards. But by looking at them, it's a really cool and fun way to get some ideas from. So I'm gonna make that cool game go away. So let's look exactly what we're going to be doing. So in 503, I have picked out 1, 2, 3, I think it was 4. Yeah, 4 indicators that we are going to master for the rest of this semester. So how do we do this? First of all, those of you at the same school, this needs to be an individual project. You can absolutely collaborate and, talk about what you're doing among others in the class. But because I'm hoping you guys do get the ISTE certification after this, this does have to be an individual thing. We're going to go through each one of these 4, and I'm going to tell you about this Google document that I'm going to share with you. The first indicator that we're going to do is implement learning experiences for students to be empathetic and socially responsible. So what I've done is I've put in my personal ISTE certification submission. This is what I turned in for me. It's actually something that you guys are going to have to do in 507 this summer. And then this was my response, was my talking to the ISTE certification evaluator on why I think that this artifact made me match this standard. The big difference is that my students are you guys, our classroom teachers. Your students are going to be your students, not other teachers. So your meeting of this standard is going to look very different. So ISTE had an example on their training site that I pulled over here, and I need to cite it at the bottom. But I wanted to give you a classroom teacher example. So she did this through Seesaw. And if you click on these pictures, it'll make them bigger, and you can see all of the areas where just that one little screenshot from the teacher's Seesaw page showed that she was doing this for her students. Now, the reason I chose these indicators for this time is we're all teaching online. So this is something that we should be doing anyway. And hopefully these will give you ideas to put into what you're already doing and not reinvent the wheel. And, birds with one stone, I'm all about that. Whatever you're already having to do in your classrooms because of this epidemic, we're going to try to use for grad coursework and ISTE certification. Okay, next. It goes hand in hand with the one above it. Mentor students in a safe, ethical, and legal use, including intellectual property. Like I said, I need to cite this, that I did put it in quote, but at the bottom I failed to put a citation in it, and that's bad, Dr. V, bad, Dr. V. So I am, in this video, I'm also doing this for you. You'll see that this is what I turned into ISTE. You're more than welcome to go look at it. But this is what ISTE's example was. Um, Students understand how effectively use web searches. This is basically teaching our students what fake news is. We all know that fake news is out there. We all know that if you find it on the internet, it's not necessarily true. But we need to teach our kiddos that no matter if you're teaching pre-K through seniors, even college kids, they don't get this. So I'm hoping, again, with what you're already doing with your students online, you can try to incorporate this into one of your lessons, and give me an artifact that meets that. Okay, 3 of 4 again goes right hand in hand with the 2 above it. These are 3 of the 4 digital citizenship standards that you have to align with. The last one we're already doing in another class. So this one is number 11, model responsible use, including the protection of digital identity and personal data. So my artifact with that, because again, y'all are my students, not K-12 students, that IT versus IT, when we had that live meeting with our experts and they talked about identity protection and personal data and all that, that is how I met it. How will you guys meet this and teach your students about being protective of their identity and data online? The ISTE standard for this one was not as helpful. The ISTE example for this one was not as helpful because she was like me. Her students were her teachers. So the example here is another teacher coach or ed tech leader example. But what you guys can do for this, I think, goes along exactly what we're doing with online teaching right now. Our students have never, ever had to be thrown completely online before. If you're using Flipgrid with them, if you're using Seesaw with them, if you're using Google Classroom with them, and they have if you're using IXL with them, any of these, they have new passwords, they have new sharing online. How are you going to teach them how to do this while protecting themselves? And again, I think it goes right along with this one before it at what is safe and what is not safe when looking online and what is meaningful or fake news looking online. So I really see these 3 going hand in hand. Next question I know y'all are going to ask me is, can there be one artifact, is what ISTE calls it, to meet all 3 of these? The answer is absolutely yes. But you have to make sure you can, like these teachers did, take a screenshot and really show where you are meeting this exact standards, because they all 3 really do go together, but they each have a different twist on it. So they're all about responsible using of the internet and effective using of the internet. This one, though, we're talking more cyberbullying and tone of online posting and things like that. This one, we're talking about legal issues. And then the last one, we're talking about personal identity. So can you build one lesson and teach all of these at the same time? Absolutely. I ask that you do, if you do that, you also give a screenshot or some examples of student work or student writing online that shows they're actually understanding this or getting this. Okay, last one is much more straight to the point. Don't think this one will be difficult with what y'all are having to do right now. Demonstrate effective communication with all student supporters. When I did this, I legally cannot talk to my students' parents because they are over 18, but I can talk with their supporters, their other professors, their coaches, their things like that. Y'all won't have that problem that I had. The ISTE example was very cut and dry and awesome. It was about how she got 2 new ESL learners in her classroom and how she was communicating using translation tools in Spanish. My hope is that you have had to think out of the box with communicating with parents in this epidemic time of learning online, and you can easily tell me what you're doing in order to effectively communicate with all stakeholders. And that may not just be parents. Think about that, guys. If you're on a team, how are you communicating with your other team teachers that teach the same students in order to support them? All of those kinds of things. If you have any students that are special ed students, how are you communicating with their SPED teachers, their paras? How are you communicating with all student supporters? Okay, so this is going to be, goodness help us, the rest of 503. We are going to just stop what's on Moodle for 503 and work on this. This is going to be an evolving document, guys. Y'all are going to have questions, and that's why I put this last column up here with ISTE tips or ISTE or other tips. Whenever you guys ask a question and I think it's going to be meaningful for everybody, I'm going to put it in here so that we can kind of work on this together. If you would like to have a Zoom meeting and excuse all the ums, I'm tired, and hash this out or get some ideas out there, that's great. But I chose these four specifically because I think they're really in line with what you guys are being mandated to do right now with teaching our angels online. Please stay safe, practice social distancing, and as always, text, email, call with whatever you need. I am not going to put a due date on these guys, although maybe I should. I'll put, let's see, we're about to start April. Let's say middle of April, April 15th. You have two of them in, and then into the semester you have the other two in, and that will be it for our semester. If you're able to get all of it done, by April 15th or earlier, you are absolutely welcome to turn it in. I'm going to try to assess them, not ABC. Y'all know I don't care about that. If you're doing your work and you're doing it well, I'm not worried about grades. But I'm going to try to give feedback on them as an ISTE reviewer would, so that you know if I think this would pass at the ISTE certification point. Have a wonderful day. Hug those kiddos as long as they haven't been within 6 feet of anybody else. Just joking. Let me know if I can do anything. Bye.